catch a worse cold from staying on the terrace, your meddlesome fiancé will definitely challenge the high priest to a duel. After saying this, he turned to leave, instructing his attendant, take the saint back to the temple. I don't want any disturbance here. Watching Grand Duke Belk leave, Celia couldn't help but sigh. Although he's so cold to the saint now, he'll fall in love with the saint someday, because he's the male lead of this novel, and that's his destiny. This novel tells the story of the female protagonist, Lena, a dimensional traveler who falls into another world and is deeply loved by both the male lead and the second male lead. As expected, Celia is the big villain who will die in the most tragic way. In the original story, Celia loved doing evil. Her hobby was luxury, her specialty was waste, and she didn't get along well with her family. But she was just an ordinary college student who accidentally transmigrated into Celia's body, and from then on decided to desperately survive and fight alone to change Celia's reputation. Once, to heal the second male lead Kaelus's arm, she collected medicinal herbs from a dangerous place, and from then on fell in love with Kaelus. They went shopping together. They watched the stars together. Until one day, Kaelus formally took out a ring to propose to her, and Celia happily accepted. After all, since the female lead ended up with the male lead in the novel, wouldn't it be better for her to choose the second male lead? But when the wedding was about to take place, Kaelus still followed the plot and madly fell in love with the female lead. Looking at her fiancé being intimate with the female lead, Celia felt indescribably sad. Who knew that a few days later, instead of her going to trouble the female lead came to her first. What was going on? At this moment, the female lead enthusiastically introduced herself. You're Kaelus's fiancé, right? I'm Lena. From another world, everyone calls me the saint. Looking at Celia's luxurious room, Lena was very happy. I heard you're trying on your wedding dress today? I'm quite curious about wedding dresses from another world. Celia looked at the chattering Lena. She had just called her fiancé by his first name directly, while she herself had only been allowed to call him by his first name after 11 months. With Lena's calling, Celia snapped back to attention. Lena continued talking to herself. I want to observe how you change into your wedding dress. Celia was shocked. What decent person would want to watch someone undress and call it observing? Just as Celia didn't know how to decline. The designer Begonia nearby couldn't stand it anymore. There's nothing interesting about trying on a wedding dress. And when putting on a wedding dress, only servants, relatives, or close friends can be present. Saint, you don't seem to belong to any of these three categories. The serious-looking Begonia seemed to have frightened Lena. She ran away crying while saying, I'm sorry. Celia thought to herself that this was bad. In the novel, Begonia was also one of the villains, and was fired by Kaelus for bullying Lena. Looking at Lena running away, she felt the plot was starting to overlap with the original story. But now that Kaelus was her fiancé, things should be a bit different, right? Who knew that in the evening, looking at her fiancé sitting across from her? Celia questioned, why did you fire Begonia? Begonia was just telling her not to treat me like entertainment, and what the saint said was indeed very rude. Kaelus was very unconvinced, but Lena, Hearing this form of address, Celia's heart suddenly sank. Are you now calling the saint by her first name in front of me, your fiancé? Kaelus realized he had let something slip and